And you're going to tell me Indian curries are better.
3 colonial empires, the Portuguese, the Dutch, and the English, all invaded Sri Lanka, not for the land, not for the gold. Do you want to know why? Before we start, hit that subscribe button because I post recipes and recipe cards every single weekend. You don't want to miss out. This is Ceylon cinnamon, the true cinnamon. It only grows in Sri Lanka, the only place on earth that produces it on any scale. The cinnamon you buy at some supermarkets, well, that's cassia, a cheaper imitation, not the same thing. At one point in history, Ceylon cinnamon was literally more valuable than gold. And Egypt was importing it in 2000 BC. And we put it in our curries every single time. Here's the difference that nobody talks about. Indian curry powders uses raw spices. Sri Lankan curry powders, we roast our spices and grind it every single time. That one step creates a more smokier, more deeper, more complex flavor that you cannot create in any other way. So that's the difference between eating a dish and experiencing one. And then there are other ingredients that doesn't exist in Indian cooking at all. Starting with gorka, a dried fruit that adds tartness nothing else can replicate. Maldive fish, a staple in our sambals and some curries. Pandan leaves and curry leaves combo, just legendary and unique. And we also use moringa leaves. Coconut and coconut milk. We use coconut milk in our curries, not yogurt or cow's milk. And scraped coconut in our sambals. You cannot buy these at your local Indian store. These are ours. I grew up eating these. My parents made these every single day. Because Australians and other Western countries have eaten Indian foods pretty much all of their life, they assume Sri Lankan food was the same thing. It is not even close. Sri Lanka was the spice capital of the world for 4,000 years. And our curry tastes like it. I said what I said, and if you don't agree, let's chat in the comments. You've been adding spices at the wrong time your entire life. And that's why your curry never tastes like your mom's or like a restaurant. Yes, the science, nobody taught you. Most people add spices to water, to a sauce, halfway through cooking, at the end. All wrong. Here's why. The flavor compounds inside spices are fat soluble, not water soluble. That means they can only fully release their flavors when they hit hot fat. Oil, ghee, butter, not liquid, not a sauce, hot fat. If you're adding spices to a water or wet base, those fat-soluble compounds stay locked inside the spice. You're cooking with the shell of flavor, not the flavor itself. This is called blooming, and this is how Sri Lankan cooking has always started. Coconut oil in a hot pan first. Hot, but not smoking. Mustard seeds in. You hear that popping? That's the cell walls in the spice rupturing in the fat, releasing every flavor compound inside. Then the whole spices. Cinnamon, cardamom, 20 to 30 seconds. Let the oil carry those compounds. Then curry leaves. Listen to that sizzle. That's not just sound, that's chemistry. If it's not sizzling, my friend, you're missing out. Only now do you add your onions. Because now the oil is loaded with flavor. Every single ingredient you add from this point gets coated in that spiced oil. The correct sequence is this: hot fat first, then whole spices, then aromatics, onion, garlic, ginger, then ground spices only for 15 to 20 seconds. Any longer, they'll burn and turn bitter. Every step is locked in for a scientific reason. It's not just tradition, it's also chemistry. My mum never called this blooming, she just didn't know the chemistry term. But she knew if you don't start the spices in hot oil, your curry tastes flat. And she was absolutely correct. And you know why. So tell me in the comments, do you agree? If not, why? Try this on your next cook. That curry powder sitting in your pantry is scientifically dead. Let's talk about it. So here's what's happening inside that jar. Every spice has microscopic oil reservoirs trapped inside its cell walls. Those oils carry every single flavor compound, the aroma, the heat, the depth, and everything. The moment a spice is grounded, those walls shatter. Every single oil reservoir is burst open and exposed to oxygen, heat, and light. And then the countdown begins. Science say freshly ground spices contain up to 80% more flavor compounds than the pre-ground version sitting in your shelf. That's 80% gone before the jar even reaches your kitchen. So most supermarket curry powders have a best before date of 2 years. 2 years! So the science says the whole spices contain their flavors 3 to 4 times than the ground ones. Meaning the powder was already losing its flavor the second it was grounded, months before it even hit the shelves. So unfortunately, you're not buying flavor, you're buying the ghost of flavor. This is why Sri Lankan cooking starts with the whole spices, dry roasted and ground every single time. I get it, you're busy. You don't have time to do that every single time. But that's why you make it and you use it. Dry roasting releases the Maillard reaction. A chemical reaction that creates hundreds of new flavor compounds that the ground spices do not have. So not only we are starting with 100% of the flavor compound intact, we are adding new ones through the roasting process. Your supermarket jar has neither. This is what it's supposed to look like. I grew up watching my parents do this every single time. They didn't know the science, they just knew the difference. And now you do too. So check the date on your curry powder jar and then tell me, when did you last taste the real flavor?